Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I am Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, we're going to talk about everything. Pretty much. I mean, there's some news out of the NBA. A disgruntled wide receiver in Philly. Everyone knows it's A.J. Brown. We'll
Of
talk about
course.
that. We'll preview tonight's game, the AFC East battle between the new Jets against the Patriots. We'll have our boy Bolt Brady coming in, helping us make some money. Plus, I want to see the odds on the Monday night game with the Raiders and Cowboys. We'll talk that and much more. We've got a family 4-pack of Saturday night's Condors game, which is the youth jersey giveaway night. Get your kids, the first 2,000 kids in attendance get a Condors youth jersey. All you got to do is call or text into the show anytime before 9 o'clock at 661-842-2000.
I can't wait to get into this Matt LaFleur thing, too. I mean, we brought it up the other day after the loss. Should he give up play calling? Should he not give up play calling? Is it smart for the head coach really to be the play caller? I'd love to hear from everybody else and what they think about their team. 661-842-2000 or chime in on YouTube down below in the comment section. We will read those at some point during the day. Should we start in the NFL or should we start with the MLB since they announced their Cy Youngs yesterday?
Ooh, who was it?
The Cy Young winners, nobody's surprised. The AL two-time Cy Young winner now, Tyreek Skubal, walks away with that one. And Paul Skeens, for the first time in his career, walking away with the Cy Young and at a unanimous vote. I honestly thought the unanimous vote was going to be going to Tarek. I will not lie to you. But I think this is a great step forward for Paul Skeens in his career. I think everybody kind of saw this coming outside of Dodger fans, of course. I think a lot of Dodger fans were really hoping that Yamamoto would get what they think is a fair shake. But as I said yesterday, this is a regular season award. And let's also take into account that Paul Skeens went 10 wins, 10 losses, sub 2 ERA with over 200 strikeouts on the Pirates. That is the biggest part right there to me. You play for the Pirates. Yoshi played for the Dodgers. And granted, probably should have had 16, 17 wins this year if it wasn't for a man named Tanner Scott. But at the same time, you have to take into account the competition and really being in certain games because of your pitcher. And I would honestly say there was no team that benefited more from their pitcher than the Pittsburgh Pirates and Paul Skeens. So I think these are both well-deserved. Second place for both sides. I believe Christopher Sanchez walked away with it on the second place side for the NL. The AL, give me one moment. I apologize. I have it right here, but I don't know why I didn't write it down. Garrett Crochet from the Red Sox, which is another great one, too. He'll be most likely fighting out Tarek for those spots in the Cy Young Award races here in the years to come. But tonight, we will finally know who is the AL and NL MVPs. I think the NL is most likely locked up, Shohei Ohtani. And again, as much as I want to say as a Philadelphia Phillies fan that my boy's not getting a fair shake, you look at the stats, Shohei blows it away in every statistical category. This guy is just incredible to watch. And the fact that he pitches at the same time, you have to take that into consideration. So it's going to be really, really, really hard for anybody really to just sit there and say they are more valuable of a player than Shohei Ohtani. But on the AL side, we've been having this debate for weeks, if not months.
Big
Dumper, and Aaron Judge. Now, everybody has their own takes on this. Everybody has their own opinions on this. I'd love to get Sparky's opinion just because he is a Seattle Mariners fan. And obviously, most people are going to take it with a grain of salt. But I'm going to back the Big Dumper here. Not solely because he had 60 home runs in the season. Not solely because he beat Aaron Judge in almost every statistical category outside of average OBP and OBS. But he also did it playing the most valuable position in baseball, the catcher. The catcher is essentially, in my opinion, the quarterback of baseball. They're calling the defenses, they're leading everybody out there. And if there's one guy besides the pitcher that touches the ball in every play, it's the catcher. So, in my personal opinion, you have to factor that in. And if the big dumper doesn't walk away with an MVP tonight, the city of Seattle will riot. Because you're also talking about a guy who is the heart and soul of the team, essentially a sub hitting coach for the team as well, and led this team to their first division win in what, Spark? 20 years?
Long time. I think he runs away with it. I really think it was because of Judge's injury and how he missed, 10, 12 games
Mm,
in the middle of, what was the playoff race. And I think if he doesn't misses those games, I think it's a closer race.
mm.
But like you just said, I mean, he took Seattle farther than they've been in 20 years. And I just think he had a overall MVP year. I don't think it's even close.
Should we really sit there and say, or well, I think baseball especially is one of those sports that will take historical things into relevance when it comes to these awards, when it comes to the MVP, the Cy Young. If you do something of historical relevance, you're going to get a bump up in the ratings for the writers. And if that is the case, personally, Cal Raleigh again, historically relevant, led the Seattle Mariners to something that nobody thought they were even going to be close to this year. I think people knew it was brewing, but nobody knew it was going to be this good this quickly. The 60 home runs, most by a catcher. I mean, I don't think we've seen a hitting or a power hitting catcher like Cal ever, especially since he's a switch hitter. So I don't know. Again, the writers are going to do what they're going to do. And I think a lot of people are fearing that the Yankee is going to be walking away with this award. But I think that's solely because everybody knows the writers watch a lot of New York games. They're all mostly on the East Coast, so they don't pay attention to the West Coast very often because the time that our games start, it's about 10 o'clock for them and they're about to get ready to go to bed. So, I mean, is Cal going to get a fair shake? I think so. But I think there is a legitimate fear, or at least a legitimate argument.
You can just throw in a name Judge.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be fair to him. He is probably, if not the greatest right-handed hitter, he's going to go down as one of, because we're talking about a power hitting right fielder who's hitting over 300 and is a threat to hit 60 home runs every single season. So maybe we are kind of like the Matt Stafford thing that we brought up the other day. Maybe we are getting a little, I don't want to say blind to this or just too used to it. And maybe that's knocking Judge down a couple pegs for us in this season. Because you're right. I mean, if he played more games, if he didn't have that stretch where he was injured, probably would have hit 60 home runs too.
And the Yankees probably would have been a little more relevant.
Probably would have won the AL East. But
it happens.
Yeah. Horseshoes and hand grenades. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. You have to live with it.
I think if the Mariners would have got knocked out in their first, in the second round of the playoffs, I think we'd have a better conversation. But with Judge missing that much time,
yeah,
and I mean, he still had a historic year. I'm not going to take anything away. The guy is Aaron Judge. But overall, I think if you look at the MVP for a season, Cal's got to take it.
Easily. But again, it's the MLB writers. We'll see what happens. I do think that being a Yankee does give him favorable, look from a lot of these guys. But if Cal Raleigh doesn't walk away with this MVP tonight, I would be very, very surprised. You said we had a caller real quick?
We got Daily Dave.
Mr. Dave, how are you?
Hey, guys. Yeah, I think Cal Raleigh, big dumper, like you said, the catcher is the quarterback, and the abuse and beating that they take back there. Look at Will Smith. He had to sit out, know. And Aaron Judge just hasn't proved it to me yet in the postseason. Yeah, he got to the World Series 2 years ago, but
again,
the Mariners were right there.
I agree with you, but to be fair, if we're going to go that route, Cal hasn't shown anything either. He did step up in the playoffs, but they didn't get anywhere. And two, like I said at the beginning of this, you have to take into account this is a regular season award. We're not qualifying anything that happened on the race to the World Series. That's why personally, because if you're going to do that, you have to consider Vladdy in this conversation because he hit almost 400 on that stretch. I mean, there's a lot of guys you would throw in there if we're going to qualify the playoffs. And if we are going to qualify the playoffs, it would immediately rub off guys like Paul Skeens, who were nowhere close to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I hear you.
we have to take that into account.
But I think 60 home runs as a catcher, I mean,
I don't think, again, whether we see this again next year or not, I think everybody's really wondering because the likelihood that he goes back-to-back 50, 60 home run years is very unlikely. But I agree with you. I mean, 60 home runs in general, I think, should at least get him the nod.
Yeah, he had a great season, and he did have a great regular season. I don't know what the numbers were for the Giant out of New York. You know, he's been consistent for the past 2 years, but I just being a Dodger fan, I can't be a real Yankee fan.
No, I totally get that, and there's always going to be those biases. But here, just for consideration, because I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people that are wondering the same thing. Cal Raleigh's stats this year: 159 games, 705 plate appearances, 60 home runs, 14 stolen bases on a .247 average. Judge went 152 games, 679 plate appearances, 53 home runs, 12 stolen bases, and a 331 average. So again, the only thing that he really beats Cal out in is the average, and I guess OBP and slugging as well, if you want to consider those. But at the end of the day, I think Spark had hit it right on the head. I think the injuries for Aaron this year are really just what's going to hinder him from getting this award, because if he had played just as many games or plate appearances as Cal, probably would have hit 60.
Yep.
He more than likely would have hit 60. So
yeah, you got a good point there. And either way, they're both deserving of it.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic baseball season all the way around.
Dodger fans are very high on the season right now. And I'm sure you're very high on next season as well.
Oh, must be. You know, if we can get. Did we sign our third baseman for the Dodgers?
That I have not heard yet. I'm not sure if you're going to hear of many signings here until the next couple of weeks to come. They still have to go through arbitrations and all of that type of stuff first. So I will keep you updated on that, but I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know everybody's speculating, but we have no idea where these guys are going to go yet.
Muncy and Kike are key to me.
I think. I think keeping Kike on that team is more important than keeping Muncy. That's no disrespect to Max whatsoever. I just feel like you could probably find a guy like Bregman that could probably do the exact same thing Muncy does. But because Muncy has such the legendary rapport in that locker room right now, and he's now the best hitting player at his position for the Dodgers ever. So I would be very surprised if they don't re-sign him as well.
I'd like to see him finish out as a Dodger, but yeah, you're right. PK is more versatile.
But he just comes up more clutch for you guys, especially in these playoff runs.
Yeah, he does. But great season. Looking forward to a great football season. I'm concerned about my Green Bay Packers. I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know about the play calling situation you guys talked about.
Dave, we're about to get into that on the other side of this break anyway, so listen out for that, and we will gladly get into this because I worry for your Packers as well. I'm not going to lie to you. I think you guys have all the talent in the world, and especially to make it to the Super Bowl. But until you figure out the right chemistry between LaFleur and Jordan Love, I don't think you're ever going to reach the heights that we all kind of see from outside looking in, unfortunately. We do have to take a break real quick, though, my friend. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. On the other side, we'll get into some of these NFL stories as well. Like we said, Matt LaFleur potentially getting the play calling taken away from him. And what is A.J. Brown saying now? I mean, we all know he's unhappy with the amount of balls that he's being thrown, and honestly, rightfully so.
We got a text from a Dodger fan saying Skeens is going to look good in Dodgers uniform in a couple years.
I think there's a lot of people who have been saying that too. The Yankees have been knocking on the door of the Pittsburgh Pirates trying to get a trade for Paul. I don't know how this is going to go, but we all know he ain't going to be a Pittsburgh Pirate for his entire career. Let's be completely honest. Let's take a break real quick, though. On the other side, we'll talk about much, much more in the world of sports. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Well, that'll wake you up. Not expecting that one. I apologize. Ugh. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield.
And if you are a big race fan, the whole Kevin Harvick race at the Raceway Park has been canceled for this weekend due to the upcoming rain, which I saw it's going to be like 80 something today and then just drop 20 degrees tomorrow. But hey, we'll take the
I'll
rain.
take it. I'll take 80 degrees over 100 any day of the week. I don't care.
I love rain.
As long as I can wear my hoodie, I do not care. Do not give a dang.
But no, they are trying to reschedule that race with his son for December 20th, but we'll keep you posted.
Fantastic. And we will talk to our guys at Rodeo Pro Wrestling tomorrow, 7:30, if I'm not mistaken. Showdown will join us once again, talk about their upcoming slate of shows. But we've got so much to talk about in the world of sports. And sources are telling me as well, Max Muncy was signed to re-signed to the Dodgers. They picked up his option, so he will be staying with the club for the foreseeable future. Figured that would be the case, but just saying, if you had to choose between the two, which one steps up more in the playoffs? I'd argue it's Kike. I'd argue it's Kike. But again, outside looking in. Don't judge me or don't kill the messenger. Let's talk about some things in the world of football. We got a couple audio pieces here that we got to play for you because they are all just fantastic. So let's start with A.J. Brown. We all know A.J. hasn't been happy, at least vocally, hasn't been happy with playing with the Eagles. I'm sure he doesn't want to go anywhere. He just wishes they would give him the ball more. You kind of had to see this coming, but with the offensive woes that the Philadelphia Eagles have been going through, you would assume that they would try to change something up and, maybe get the ball to their wide receiver more. But he claims he's not apologizing for a single thing that he has said, even though some people are looking at it as kind of cancerous. So let's hear what AJ has to say real quick.
Because after the game, I said all the right answers. I still made a story. In that moment where I'm just talking to my friend, having fun with my friend, I'm not apologizing for that. Like I said, because if you have eyes, you can see that. And so, it's not that I was throwing anybody on the bus. I'm literally trying to laugh through this. It's tough. But I'm trying to make fun of the situation and to try to get through it. So, it is what it is, man.
I don't blame him, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess in those types of situations, when you're talking to somebody that's a friend on the phone, you don't really expect anybody to pick up what you're talking about. But also, when you're openly talking about your team and how much you are just unhappy, I don't necessarily blame reporters for picking up on that and reporting it, because that's
their job.
Yeah, that's essentially what they're there to do.
Going out and saying, if you have me on fantasy, drop me.
Yeah, that was funny. That was absolutely funny. But I mean, I don't blame him for being frustrated. The offense hasn't flowed through him ever since he got there. And I'm sure they pitched him on the fact that he was going to be wide receiver one and a key part to this offense. Saquon Barkley comes in and the entire structure of the offense changes. And I mean, again, it's hard to put the ball to all of these pieces multiple times in a game, especially when you're not exactly having the best offensive year of your lives. So maybe this is just mounting frustrations that came out over a video game, because that is essentially what he's talking about. This all stems from, well, I shouldn't say all stems. It all stems from back in a couple weeks ago when he was claiming his frustrations of not wanting to play for the Eagles because he's not getting the ball. Then there's an entire situation where he's playing a video game with a streamer. The streamer's giving him grief for how bad the year has gone for him, and how he picked him up on his fantasy team, hoping that he was going to be good this year. And then he answers with what Sparky just let us know of: drop me. I don't care. I'm having a bad year. This is a bad team, or this is a bad situation for your boy, kind of a thing. I'm, again, paraphrasing, not exactly what he said. But at the end of the day, you have to know you're a professional football player, and everything you say on any platform is going to get absolutely dissected by every single reporter on the planet. And by you looking at any fan and saying, well, just drop me, that I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, Coach Sirianni has got to deal with these types of things. And I mean, he came out yesterday and said, hey, we're all in. He's our guy.
Oh, yeah.
No matter if he got 3 targets in the last game or not, he's still our number one receiver.
You heard the GM say it's hard to trade away good pieces like that. And it's true. You don't want to trade away a guy that could potentially be what would you say, Spark, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now? If he got put on a team with a quarterback that was pass heavy?
Yeah. I mean, he's got baggage. I mean, he talks a lot, and he's talked his way out of one team. And I'm going to stand by, and I think he's talking his way out of Philly this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think after the season ends, they'll probably shop him.
And that's unfortunate, because I mean, this partnership between AJ and the Eagles has been nothing but prosperous. I mean, ever since they got him, they've been fantastic. He just doesn't get the ball as much as he would like. And I mean, he ran into the same issue when he was with the Tennessee Titans before the trade. So I don't know. Maybe he just prefers being on a team that's very pass heavy. I don't know. Maybe Cincinnati needs another wide receiver. Who knows? But I have to agree with you. If this continues and he continues to speak out like this outside of the game specifically,
especially if they don't go back to back.
yeah, he's more than likely one of those pieces that's going to get shopped around, if not just to see what he is worth around the league.
And I think if they don't win it, he's going to just keep talking.
And nobody trades more than that Philadelphia GM, boy. And he doesn't do it because he hates the players. He does it because he understands we're a revolving door of needed pieces. Some of our guys leave, some of our guys retire. We got to figure out how to replace those guys. And if it doesn't work out, he's not going to waste his time because he knows that this team has a window for championships and it closes just as quickly as it opens. So I don't blame him whatsoever for shopping around pieces and trying to figure out what they're worth to the league. And AJ would be worth a good amount of draft picks. What would you say he would be? Second rounder at the very
That's what I was
very
thinking.
least.
Probably a second rounder.
I mean, I don't know if you'll get a first rounder for him at his age right now, but you'll get a solid second rounder for him, plus maybe a couple thirds or whatever you want for future drafts.
I mean, coming from a guy that played on a bad team, went to Philly, won a Super Bowl, I think he's probably on his way out. And it depends on where the team is on the draft. I would think, if it's a team like Buffalo or something, I would say a second, maybe third rounder. But I mean, we've seen crazier things. I didn't think Sauce was going to go for that type of value, but hey, he's young. He's also super young.
Yeah, and Sauce has an incredible upside too, especially at the corner position where there's not a whole ton of really elite talent.
But if he was 30,
yeah,
he probably wouldn't be the same. So I mean, I think he's 24, 25 years old. I think AJ is probably going to be his next last contract. I mean, figuring receivers don't last as long in the NFL. But I mean, it'll probably all change if Philly comes back and wins the Super Bowl again, and he probably winning championships usually quiets the mouths.
And that has a lot to do with it as well. I think everybody kind of forgets that, but when we hear these guys complain about not getting the ball a lot, I think it has to do with the fact that they know them if they're not utilized as much as they need to be, or if they feel like they should be, that's also going to reflect on the contract they get in the next season, or they're not going to get paid like a guy who gets 80, 90 passes a year. So they realize that as well, that not only is their play being, tampered because they're not getting the ball, but now their negotiations for their contracts for the future are also going to be weighing in the balance.
And playing for those bonuses.
Exactly. And AJ, I'm sure, has a ton of bonuses in that contract, but I could see it from both sides. When you're, Nick Sirianni, you're just trying to find an offense that works to win a football game. Where that ball goes to win that game, he doesn't give a dang. But at the same time, I understand AJ Brown, because if you're not getting the ball, if you're not getting the opportunity to look like the wide receiver you are, you're not going to get paid like the receiver you are, which is going to be equally as frustrating for you. So I get both sides of this, but AJ's got to know, no matter what platform you're on, whether it's in front of the media or on a stream with your homie, you've got to clean it up, dude. Because if you don't, they're always watching, and they're waiting for you now for the next clip. You have officially become that guy in the NFL this year where they're not even anything you say that's positive. They're not even going to report it. They don't care anymore.
It's like Tyreek Hill. Now with him out with an injury, they're hungry.
Yep.
They want those clips.
And if you're going to be feeding it to them, they're going to be on your door every single day. Let's take a break real quick. We'll get to this whole Matt LaFleur situation on the other side with the Green Bay Packers. Is it a smart idea for him to give up play calling, or should they just believe in the offensive mind that Matt LaFleur has been and continues to be most likely in his career? This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Kind of want to wait for it. I just want you to know, half the time after this show, I go in my car and have to blare half of these songs in my ear just because I haven't heard them in so long, and Sparky reminds me of them. So at least you set up my playlist for the rest of the day. So I appreciate that.
baby.
I appreciate that, my friend. Let's get into the Packers situation. I mean, we've talked about it multiple times on Monday after the loss to the Eagles. Everybody is really questioning, should Matt LaFleur continue to call plays on offense? The offense has not looked like it has really been comfortable all year long. A lot of the play calling in general has just been skeptical. And honestly, the Packers, even in their losses, the defense holds up. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, in each of their losses, the teams haven't scored more than 16 points. You've got to win games in the NFL like that, or that are like that. You cannot allow these games to slip away from you, especially games like, well, the Packers versus Cowboys that ended in a tie. But we can't keep
That is going to come
one.
down.
That's
that game
hurt.
is going to matter
Oh,
at the
yeah.
end, I think.
I think so too. But at the end of the day, Matt LaFleur came out and addressed these comments and just said, I don't give a dang. So let's hear from Matt LaFleur.
First of all, you're not going to give up play calling, I assume.
No.
I'm not suggesting you should. My question is, what can you do better then?
Well, yeah, I think it always starts. You have to look inward, and I think especially when you go against teams that are good football teams, and the complexion of each game is going to be a little bit different in regards to sometimes, like I told the team today, I don't care if we win 3-0 or 49-48. Bottom line is we have to find a way to get it done. Otherwise, you get criticized, and that's just the way it is.
I mean, he said it right there at the end. It doesn't matter if you won 3-0 or 49-48. You're going to get criticism either way. But at the same time, when you're in this many close games where teams aren't even scoring more than 17 points on you, and as I said on Monday, I would be willing to bet if you just let go of the leash and let Jordan be Jordan, he could score more than 17 points a game. I don't think Matt LaFleur needs to get rid of the play or let go of the play calling, but I brought this up on Monday, and I'd love to hear everybody else's take on this as well. 661-842-2000, or just chime in whatever chat bot down below. I don't think he needs to give up the play calling, but is it still smart for the head coach to be the sole play caller? Should there not be some sort of consideration from the coordinators of whatever side that the head coach is play calling for? We talked about how Dan Quinn will be taking over the play calling for the defensive side for the Commanders. Dan Campbell took over the offensive side for the Detroit Lions this last week. Sometimes it works, but you as a head coach, I think there's so much on your plate that you need to be able to trust your coordinators to do their job, which is call the plays. So I don't know exactly what the Packers should do, but I don't know if taking the thing away from Matt LaFleur right now is the right move if he doesn't so trust that offensive coordinator to be calling the plays. I don't know. I don't know if it's more of him just needing to let go of the play calling or if you just need to let Jordan be Jordan. I really just believe that if you just allow Jordan to get comfortable and play Jordan's game, you'll have the amount of points to beat every single team in the NFL, especially with Micah Parsons on the other side leading your defense.
Yeah, I don't know if they're holding Jordan Love back or if they're just not on the same page. Because it's definitely, I mean, obviously losing their number one tight end, the receivers have been in and out all season. You know, they haven't been able to get comfortable in this offense. And I don't know if it's that they're holding Jordan Love back or if he's just in his head with it, whether it's, you know, he's not comfortable with the receivers quite yet, or if they're still like growing pains. You know, we talked about that with Golden. You know, he's a young rookie receiver. You know, he's got to get comfortable in this offense. And I don't know if all the changes and the injuries are just adding up and in what their game plan is. But yeah, I mean, it definitely they need to change something up.
Let's be fair too, because like you just said, offense has been banged up. These are brand new wide receivers for Jordan. The whole reason you got expected you as a quarterback whisperer to be able to get this done with Jordan well before this. I just don't like taking the play calling away from Matt LaFleur. It sounds like a good idea right now, but who's to say that the offensive coordinator is going to be better than him? I know it's kind of me spitting out of both sides of my mouth. I realize that right now, but at the same time, that's kind of where we are with the Packers. And I mean, you heard Daily Dave at the beginning of this show. He's concerned. I get why you're concerned because it's confusing. It's something that I feel like you should have already figured out by now what type of quarterback Jordan is and what you need to do to really have him be successful. And it does kind of feel like to me that they came into this season saying we are going to limit every mistake possible, causing Jordan to be walking on eggshells all season and not playing like Jordan. So maybe we need to, like I said, just let go of Jordan Love's leash more than have Matt LaFleur let go of the play calling duties. I'm not 100% sure. Again, this is all outside looking in kind of a situation for the little I've been able to watch the Packers this season. But if they can somehow just figure that part of it out, and Matt LaFleur is not going to let go of the play calling situation. I really just don't think he will. That's his entire forte. But again, I am one of those people that sit there and say, if you want the play calling, that's fine. But that means all the brunt of the success or the failure and not on Jordan, at least in my head. Because it seems to me that the responsibilities that you've come in with this season have been to limit Jordan Love's mistakes. And when you do that with somebody that's a gunslinger, it traditionally goes this route. And now everybody's calling for you to let go of the play calling. And I kind of understand why. Because if you can't score more than 17 points against some of these teams, what are we doing? You're way too talented to be doing that. You really are. This team
Looks like
should
the
not
defense
be
is,
anywhere.
like you said, is getting more comfortable with all the changes. I mean, Micah is showing up.
Yep.
I just think there's almost running out of excuses coming from a team that was projected to be in the Super Bowl contending. And I mean, a couple of weeks ago, they were talking Jordan Love is MVP this year. Watch.
Well, again, I think
It's
that
still
is
plenty
more,
of time, but we've also talked about Jordan Love. He's a gunslinger. He wants to throw it.
Yeah.
Let him, he's not always going to throw 4 touchdowns. There's going to be some picks in there, just like any gunslinger quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think they've got it. I just think they've got, 4 to 6 weeks to clean it up.
And that's going to be the real question, though. But is cleaning it up letting Matt let go of the play calling, or is it letting Jordan be Jordan?
And it's the same way with LaFleur. Let LaFleur be LaFleur. He's the guru you brought in, and if it doesn't work out, then look for another coach. But personally, LaFleur is there to be your offensive guru.
Right.
Let him do his thing.
And I mean, that's an interesting thought as well, though, Spark, because when we came into the season, I think there were a couple Packers fans and at least people in the Packers organization that were thinking Matt LaFleur might be on the way out, because this has been a couple years with the team where they haven't had the success that they signed him to bring. So maybe that this is the final straw for Matt LaFleur, especially if he doesn't give up play calling. Again, I don't have the solution for you. I just personally believe that letting go of the leash would probably benefit more than letting go of the play calling it.
We've got 2 texts on this topic.
Cool.
One says, I'm not sure if Jordan Love has that it factor personally. He makes me nervous every time he sets back. And the next one says, Green Bay is 19 points from being undefeated.
They are.
The defense has given up that total in 3 losses. The offense is losing their tight end for the season. Doesn't help, but I would say stick with the coach calling plays this season.
Okay, so some of the fan base at least believes in Matt LaFleur still, which is a good thing to see. Everybody calling for Matt to let go of the play calling situation. I mean, again, we brought it up the other day. Should you even be calling plays as a head coach? The jury's still out on that one for me. Sometimes that's the smart move, but sometimes, like we've seen with Pete Carroll, it could lead to you losing a Super Bowl. So realistically, we'll find out what Matt LaFleur decides to do. But I do agree with you. They're really 19, 20 points away from being undefeated. And I don't understand why we aren't figuring out the proper way to work with Jordan yet. You've had plenty of time to do it. So whether Matt LaFleur is the guy or not, we're going to figure out throughout the rest of this season. But I do think if if this trajectory for the Packers continues, wouldn't be surprised if a head coaching changes in the future as well. Let's take a break. On the other side, we got a couple things to talk about. Draymond Green back in the news, talking about his Warriors, and apparently he believes they're not looking to win at all. So we'll get his thoughts on the other side too. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. I don't know if I like this one. No, awesome.
Get poison into Nirvana.
It really is. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, God, I don't know if this is better.
No,
I can't tell if this is better or not.
it can be better.
No, it can be better.
It cannot be
Covers
better.
can be better. Trust me.
No,
Johnny Cash's version of Hurt is better.
it cannot be better than how it was written.
No, I mean, again, I think there are certain songs that some people cover that it becomes their song. Personally, Disturbed Taking Sound of Silence, that is now their song. Sorry, Simon. Sorry, Garfunkel. That is now their song.
Can't be better than the
Same
person
with-
that wrote it.
Same with Johnny Cash. Hurt. That song is now Johnny's. I'm sorry. You guys may have wrote it. You may have done everything first, but he did it better. So it's now his song. I
do it
apologize.
better.
I apologize. Maybe
It's-
AI can't do it better.
especially
but certain
from a
people do.
journalist.
I don't know.
You
Again,
can't be better
I'm
than
sorry.
the person that just put
Unpopular.
it together and wrote it.
Unpopular opinion, maybe, but I'm just throwing it out there.
And we'll do our football picks at the top of the hour. But I did want to throw in something before we got away from the NFL.
Well, we should really talk about the Thursday night football game tonight too.
Yeah.
Even though it's most likely going to be just as bad as last week's.
But
But hey,
I wanted to see what you thought with the former two-time Super Bowl champ Asante Samuel, now put at Bo Nix,
oh God, Asante, what the hell?
saying he's not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. His official words is no one should be believing in Bo Nix. He isn't like that. Oh, man.
I am very appreciative of Asante Samuel and his career, especially his time with the Falcons. But can we just stop, please? Like, again, time will tell.
Give him fuel.
Give him a little bit of fuel here. I think that's more what we need to see this as is Bo Nix is getting some fuel for that run. Because I think we're going to see this weekend exactly how far apart the Denver Broncos are from the Kansas City Chiefs. And if they blow out the Chiefs, I doubt it. I very much doubt that's going to be the case. Do not get me wrong. But if they do, this take is going to look so bad. But again, that's what we, that's what we do in the sports media. You give some crazy takes, people call you an idiot, and either you look great afterwards or you're an idiot. So we'll find out at the end of the day. Let's talk about the Thursday night football game real quick with the last 5 minutes that we got before our break, as the New York Jets will be taking on the New England Patriots tonight. And Drake May, the MVP leader at the moment. Do we expect anything to happen tonight, though? I mean,
I don't know, man. Those division
well,
games.
Let's start with this. Will Justin Fields throw for more than 100 yards?
No.
Dang.
No.
Is this the week that Tyrod Taylor becomes the quarterback? I think at this point you kind of have to, especially if Justin comes out and is awful again in this
2
first
for 12
half,
for 12 yards.
something like that. Yeah, like
And now he doesn't have Garrett Wilson.
that's what I'm thinking in my head. So if they come out and he's nowhere near looking like a competent quarterback, you have to make a move. I know they came out already and said Aaron Glenn's not going anywhere, but if he doesn't make a quarterback change, I think you would have to at least consider his ineptitude as an offensive coach.
Even Evan Cohen came out this morning and said, hey, Aaron Glenn is now 1-0. This is his team now. Now that
No.
they've given him the team, given him the keys, and he was able to make some trades, several trades. I still don't think, I mean, I know the AFC East matchups, we just saw it with Miami and Buffalo last week. I think the Jets will play them tough, but I still don't think they have enough to beat the Patriots.
I think Jets fans would like to believe that Aaron Glenn is 1-0 and all of this is now his team. I think that's what you would hope, because that's what you brought him in to do, was essentially do what Dan Campbell did for the Lions. But
what Vrabel's doing with the
what
Patriots.
Vrabel's doing with the Patriots right now. But again, you've heard me say it a million times. I don't believe it. I don't believe in it. I don't believe Aaron Glenn was the guy who changed the culture in Detroit. I think that was Dan Campbell. I think Dan is continuing to show you that this year. I think Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are fantastic coaches that considerably helped to that success. But I don't know. Again, jury's still out. They're not getting rid of him at any point in time. But the other thing I have to say too, you really think Woody Johnson isn't or doesn't have a hand in every trade or move that this team does? Like, you can call it Aaron Glenn's team all you want, but nothing happens without Woody's consideration and acceptance of it. So this team, in my opinion, will continue to be a dumpster fire until that part of it is fixed.
And what is this? New England's 6th or 7th in a row if they pull out the win.
Yep. And again, the hottest team in the AFC right now, because the Colts have considerably cooled off. Drake May might be your MVP.
Which is insane.
It's really insane to say. It's more insane to say that the Patriots are back after what everybody had to go through almost 2 decades of Tom Brady. And we all thought, thank God we get at least a decade of where this team has to rebuild itself. Yeah, no, it took maybe a year.
And kind of saw it on the wall when Vrabel was brought in, because Vrabel,
man.
I still think, should be the coach of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, that was on them. And now what they've done, I think Vrabel and the Patriots are ahead of schedule, and they have plenty of salary cap money into the offseason, and this team is going to continue to build.
In my main question when it comes to the Patriots as well, has Vrabel finally turned his entire mindset around on Henderson, and will he allow him to play running back? Because that last game was fantastic. He even looked back at the sideline and said, "Coach, do I score? Do I not score? What do I do?" And he told him, "No, score. What are you doing? Get in the end zone." Like I really hope that this entire team has found their actual their next sense of identity, because football is better when the Patriots are good. But I cannot deny I was not expecting them to be this good this quickly. I really wasn't. We'll give our picks for the NFL on the other side of this break. Plus, Bolt Brady from Brady His Bro at the BLEAV Network will be joining us at 8:30. He'll help you win some money. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Baker. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Early Bird Special, Hour 2 here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We are also streaming video live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can like, share, and subscribe. We're also on Instagram and TikTok. Share with your friends, all that kind of good stuff. The reels will be back momentarily. We are switching some stuff up over here on this side, trying to get some things ironed out. So once that all gets technically fixed, we will be back up in terms of social media and all of our reels and whatnot that you usually see around Instagram. But let's get through our picks of the week before we get to our guy Bolt Brady at 8:30 when he gives you his in the world of the NCAA and the NFL. And trust me, if you are not utilizing Bolt Brady in his picks, I don't know what you're doing. I really don't. He's the one that's going to be making you some money. Trust me. But Sparky, let's run it down. Week 11 of the NFL, starting with tonight. We got the Jets and the Patriots. Who you got, my friend?
New England.
Yeah, I'm going to go with New England as well. We said it earlier. Just don't believe in this Aaron Glenn team yet. If he could turn it around and make me look stupid, I am all the more for it. And I'm sure everybody at ESPN will love it even more. But I've grown up knowing one thing about football. Or actually, I guess two things, but that's never trust the Jets or the Browns. So I'm going to continue to believe that part of the game.
And we have the early game on Sunday with Washington against the Dolphins.
I like this game. I'm going to go with your Dolphins this week, Spark. But did you hear the story coming out of this game? Mike McDaniel's thoughts about Dan Quinn and how he helped him with sobriety and all of that. I think that was a really cool thing and a little nice side story to go with this matchup.
Yeah, and he was interviewing Quinn with the Falcons.
Mm.
And in 2000, I believe 16, he was fighting his alcohol abuse, and Quinn was there to help him. And now they get to play each other in a different country. I'm going to go with the Dolphins as well. I think it would have been a tighter game with Jaden, but with Mariota starting with Washington and they're banged up, I'm hoping that the Dolphins we saw last week is the Dolphins we're going to see on Sunday. And we're both taking Miami. But Carolina at the Atlanta Falcons. You think the Falcons score points this week?
I sure hope so. With the 30-0 loss earlier in the season, I hope my Falcons bounce back and actually do something at home here against the Carolina Panthers, who just got embarrassed by the Saints last week. So I am obviously going to be riding with the Falcons, but with a grain of salt, because God only knows this team is just as confusing as the Green Bay Packers.
I think Atlanta finds a way to pull it out, but I'm going to go with Carolina just to switch it up. Okay. Tampa Bay at Buffalo. What Buffalo team are we going to see?
That's the big question. I know I took Tampa Bay early this morning in our first look segment, but to be honest with you, I'm going to ride with Buffalo here since I know you're most likely going with Tampa Bay. I like Josh Allen and I like Baker Mayfield. Both are fantastic quarterbacks, and this is going to be an absolute battle between the two of them. I just think that Josh Allen has proven a little bit more than Baker so far and has a healthier team.
I'm not sure about that one. I know they lost 2 offensive linemen and a tight end last week, and I believe Kincaid is probably out.
That's fair.
I am going to go with Tampa just because I don't like the Bills. And Houston at Tennessee.
Houston's heating up, in my opinion. The offense has figured it out, either if it's C.J. Stroud or Davis Mills playing quarterback, so I'm going to ride with the Texans.
I think you're right. I think Houston pulls this one out. Tennessee is still trying to figure out what team is going to show up.
We're all so focused on the Baltimore Ravens making a return to the playoff picture. Do not be surprised if the Houston Texans join them.
Then we get Chicago at Minnesota.
Got to ride with Chicago. I love what Ben Johnson has brewing over there right now, and Caleb looks great. On the other end of this, you got Kevin McConnell trying to figure out anything with J.J. McCarthy, and right now it's just a tale of two teams, so I'm going to go with the Bears.
I'm going to go with Minnesota to halt that, and Chicago's been looking good. I'm still thinking an upset in Minnesota is going to happen. Green Bay at the, coachless New York Giants.
That's the one big thing to me is that they are coachless, and you'll hear me say this on this show a couple times. Usually when a team fires their coach, they come back and win the next week because everybody gets a wake-up call and everybody realizes I'm playing for my job. So they actually try to play like professionals. However, I do believe the Packers win this game just solely because of the depth of talent that they have. that the Giants will not have. No Jackson Dart this week. You'll have Jameis Winston at quarterback. No Malik Neighbors or Cam Scattaboo. So the offense is in absolute shambles.
Yeah, and this one's tough because I could totally see Winston going out there and throw picks
Exactly.
and green Pittsburgh Steelers again. The Unk Bowl.
Unk Bowl returns to television. I'm going to ride with the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's only because I'm starting to believe that this Pittsburgh Steeler team has turned Cinderella on us. I think that they're going back to being a pumpkin and are running their way back home. I want to believe that this is a playoff team, but the defense has only showed maybe 1 or 2 weeks where they've actually looked competent. The offense still, in my opinion, looks shaky. I'm just going to ride with Cincinnati, especially since they were able to pull it off in the last time.
I mean, this one could go
matchup.
either way. I think Pittsburgh wins just because they're at home, and I think Aaron Rodgers has something to prove. And I've learned to not bet against Aaron Rodgers, but I will not be starting him in fantasy this week, so I'm sure he will go off. The LA Chargers at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I do not like my pick this week for this game, but I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh.
I think that they figure out a way with their front seven to disrupt Justin Herbert with the banged up offensive line. Josh Allen Hines is a fantastic defensive player that will most likely wreak havoc this entire game. The only caveat of this is if the Chargers can figure out a way to keep this run game hot with Vidal. If they can do that, I will be eating crow on Monday, but I will ride with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think you just said it. I think the Chargers, the run game, with whether it's the double head, because they've used a couple different running backs, but I do like the Chargers. I'm going to go with Tyson and our boy Dan, and I'm going to roll with the Chargers this week. Seattle at the Rams could be the game of the week.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm going with the Rams. I said it last week when the Rams were taking on the 49ers. Sean McVay, does everything possible to win these division games, which is going to be bad news for Sam Darnold. And I honestly think they're going to find the defense of the Rams will find a way to make it a bad day for him.
Yeah, this one's tough. I'm going to go with Seattle just because I love their defense. But I think it's going to be 40-something to 40-something. It's going to be a high-scoring game.
This is going to be a great game to watch.
The San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals without Marvin Harrison.
I'm going to be rolling with the 49ers this week. This Arizona Cardinals team, I would like to say I have some faith in, but I really don't. Jacoby is a solid quarterback, but I've been saying this with some of the guys around here. It seems to me that Jacoby, when he's the backup that gets brought in, plays out of his mind. But the minute that you put any kind of expectation or any kind of just starting anything on him,
the bed,
he turns into the pumpkin. So I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm going to go with the Niners as well. This one is ugly. Baltimore at Cleveland.
Baltimore has got this surge going. I think they have put every single train track down and they are ramming right through the AFC playoff picture.
I think Baltimore wins, and I think this could be the final game of Dylan Gabriel. I think this is just going to be where they're going to have to pull the plug. But then we get the AFC West showdown, the game that everyone's talking about, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos.
I'm picking Denver, and I'm going to tell you right now, I said it earlier in this or the last hour, this is the telltale sign of you get to decide how far away you are from your competition. The Denver Broncos will make a statement win with this game this weekend. And I'm going to tell you right now, I expect Patrick Mahomes to have multiple interceptions.
I mean, it could happen. It definitely could happen. Denver's defense is tough. I just think it's more, this game is bigger for Kansas City because if they fall back to 5-5, looking up into this division and give the Broncos just another game ahead of them, I mean, they could be really out of the division personally and could be looking in the playoffs right now, just like we are. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think they pull it out in a tight game. And then Sunday night, which is another great game, Detroit at Philadelphia.
This one is such a toss-up to me. I said it last week when we were talking about the Packers and the Eagles game. The Eagles have been playing just good enough to be able to beat their opponent. They are figuring it out just well enough to outscore them by maybe 3 to 7 points. And we've really not seen the best of what this Eagles team can do. And that's what kind of concerns me here in the regular season. If this was a playoff game, I'd be going with the Eagles every step of the way because I know they'd be stepping up in all facets of the game. But this game, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions because I think Dan Campbell is hot right now. Taking over the offensive play calling worked last week. And again, until the Eagles really show us their full potential, I cannot honestly say they can go into any playoff picture type game and win outright. So I'm going to go with the Lions.
I think if they were in Detroit, it would be all the way Lions. I think the Lions are they're playing tight right now.
Mhm.
And like you said, I just think the Eagles find a way to pull out these close games. And I think Eagles will do it again at home. And then Monday nights, where I will be at the Dallas Crackwagon Cowboys at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Absolutely. God, another tough one to choose from. I'm going to go with Dallas in this game. I trust Dak Prescott a little bit more, although it's going to be a rough game for him having to deal with Max Crosby all day. I will not lie on that
What's
one.
the total points?
We'll go 38. I don't expect this one to be a very high scoring affair.
Yeah, I think Genty runs all over Dallas. And I also think it's really going to come down to Dak against this tough Raider defense when they want to be.
Yeah.
I think Max Crosby gets to him 2 or 3 times, and I'm going to go with the Raiders just because, and I think it'll be 24-10, so 34 points.
That's fair. That's fair. Again, and for those of you who follow us on social media or on YouTube, look out for a lot of these videos and whatnot that Sparky will be releasing on our YouTube channel, as well as on our Instagram and whatnot, as he and our program director, JR Flores, will be live from Las Vegas on Monday and Tuesday of next week's shows. We'll have a whole hour with Sparky on Tuesday, probably a whole hour with KG right after that. And we'll be talking all things Raider football those 2 days as he goes and covers that. But should be an exciting game
pinball.
either way.
I'm reaching out to Hop and challenging him to a pinball.
Pinball.
Yeah, there's the world's largest pinball in Vegas.
What?
And me and Hop have been talking about it for about 10 years.
Why am I just hearing
Yeah,
about
they have
this?
the Museum of Pinball in Vegas, and they have all the old school pinball games and machines.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna need that to be live on our YouTube channel. JR's cameraman.
Uh-huh.
I need to see both of you go at it. This would be fantastic content.
Yes.
We are absolutely doing this now. If you want to check out Sparky versus our guy Hop, our entertainment guy, is this like life
duel.
size? Is this man size pinball?
Oh, they've got all of them from the 50s, 60s, 70s. They've got, the old Kiss pinball machine. They've got all sorts of they have the old
We have
Donkey
to
Kong.
find one sanctioned pinball machine that's going to be
that we can
even
agree
for the
on.
both of you. Oh man, now I wish I was going just solely so we could set this up. This is great. This is going to be fantastic.
I checked it out. It's got some old school games in there.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me.
Anything from the old Donkey Kong to pinball to, Galaga to
Y'all can't touch me, Galaga.
Cruising USA.
Y'all won't touch my score in Galaga. You don't want it.
No, you don't want anything to do with me with Donkey Kong because I'll be there for
That's
hours
the
on a
one
quarter.
game I could never. I loved the game, but I couldn't really get into it as much. Like Galaga and Pac-Man and stuff like that. Oh, I was all over it. But for some reason, Donkey Kong just wasn't my thing. Now, Donkey Kong Country. Oh, now we're talking. God, 90s and nostalgia.
We'll take our break and we'll get through some of our texts before Bolt comes in and helps you make money right here on the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield.
Lord. So, is this breaking? What you just sent me? We
Yeah.
have some breaking news for you guys. Apparently, this is from Yahoo Sports. ESPN is ordering several on-air talents like Dan Orlovsky, Kendrick Perkins, Mina Kimes, and Laura Rutledge to cut their marketing ties with controversial Papaya Gaming. Stephen A. Smith was the primary star of Papaya's ad campaign promoting the solitaire game with #Beat Steven Challenge. But news has emerged of a federal lawsuit accusing the company of falsely marketing games of skill and employing quote, tailored bots to control the outcomes of tournaments. Good Lord. We were just talking about this the other day. I mean, first off, why were people getting into solitaire? Why are we really? Solitaire? That's the game that Stephen A. and Orlovsky and all these guys were peddling now was solitaire.
Well, it makes sense now because they've shown Stephen A. at basketball games just
playing solitaire, and that's what all of this was centered around. Was apparently the game he was playing was Papaya Gaming's solitaire situation. There's even jokes that were being made at the Matt LaFleur and Sirianni's expense, saying they were playing solitaire on their iPads during the game instead of actually coaching. And look, man,
I haven't seen that one.
Oh yeah, there's a whole ton of stuff that's been going around with this solitaire thing. And again, another instance of people scamming other people in certain ways of competition. All of this is going to be coming to a head over and over and over again. You're going to be hearing so many stories of all of these betting things and just stuff like this where people are hiring bots to essentially rig tournaments. And I say rig with loose terms. This is Papaya just sitting there saying, we have a whole bunch of people here. We can't service all of them. So we got to get a bot to come in here and manage it for us. But, I mean, when do we vet half of these ads? Like, who's in charge of going through and actually looking at the company and saying, okay, that looks legit. We should roll with them. Because whoever it is at ESPN that's been doing that, yeah, you need to start considering that person being moved from that position. Because now, not only with the Papaya thing, I mean, the betting situation, getting rid of ESPN Bet just solely to go to DraftKings. And by the way, they're still peddling ESPN Bet. Because every time I turn on ESPN Bets, it's according to ESPN Bets, not according to DraftKings. So where are we with that? All of this is just getting really, really weird.
I think it ends on the 15th.
Does it? Again, regardless of what day it ends, it should never have started in the first place. Why are we peddling?
You shouldn't put money and sports and gambling.
Again, I get it. Like, especially for the talking heads, I don't fault them because it's just an ad they were asked to do.
Yeah, they're just reading off the teleprompter.
Most of you, for those of you who don't know, most of these guys who do ads for a lot of this stuff don't actually use the stuff. A lot of people do, especially if it's something they're personally peddling during some of their podcasts. They tend to do that just so they know what they're actually peddling to other people. But certain situations like this, I highly doubt Dan Orlovsky and Kendrick Perkins on their off time are playing solitaire on the Papaya Gaming site. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But whoever the heck is vetting these ads, you got to start doing a better job of it at ESPN, in my personal opinion. But that's
we got
just
some lineup questions.
Fantastic.
First one says, do I go with New England's D tonight or the Ravens versus the Browns?
Personally, I would go with New England's tonight. We've seen much worse from the Jets offense than we have with the Cleveland offense. And for some reason, Dylan Gabriel does still score touchdowns. That's the one thing that he has been able to do. He just hasn't been able to win football games.
Do I start Travis Kelce at Denver or Gadsden at Jacksonville?
Gadsden, I believe, is banged up.
He's playing.
He is playing, but I still wouldn't trust it. I would go with Kelce since he's healthy. And let's be honest, with the fantastic corner play that you got out in Denver, those wide receivers for Kansas City are not going to be seeing a lot of footballs thrown their way.
Justin Herbert at Jacksonville or at the Giants?
I'm going with Justin solely because I also drafted Jordan in my league, and I'm swiftly learning that I cannot trust him on a week-to-week basis. I'm sorry.
The last one is, do
Jameson Williams at Philly.
Yeah, I like the prime hands down over Aaron Judge.
It shouldn't be close. You're absolutely right. It should be a brace away, but it's not going to be. I'm sure the writers will go, what do you think, Spark? 2010, something like that. Like it'll be some sort of skew, but
Shouldn't be
Aaron's
close.
still going to get a considerable amount of votes solely because he plays for the Yankees.
Yep.
Let's be completely honest about it. But you're absolutely right. And as I said during the opening segment of our show, if Cal Raleigh doesn't win the MVP, the city of Seattle and the rest of us baseball fans, we riot. We absolutely riot.
And before we get into our bets of the week with Bolt Brady, I wanted to throw out, do you see Michigan State?
I did. Yeah. Michigan State football has been suspended for 4 years and has been, they've lost 14 games,
wins,
including all 5 of the first year head coaches wins last season and Jonathan Smith. This is all stemming because they allowed 3 players to play that were ineligible grade wise. I don't know what, like,
everyone knows that. Oh, going back to
that's one
junior
of the
high,
most
high school.
basic things in all of sports. If you don't make the grades, you don't play. That's the basic premise of all of it. That doesn't change until you get to the NFL.
And how are you allowing players to not?
Oh no, teams do this all the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and act innocent as if teams haven't done this in the past. I'm sure plenty of teams do this and don't get caught.
I've players there, especially the ones on the
Coach Carter thing, where he said you got to be in the front of every school. There are some coaches that make you do that.
Yeah, I had an ex-girlfriend that used to actually have to tutor.
Yeah.
A lot of the athletes, and they would make a 0 period just for the athletes.
And again, most of these guys do take their schooling very seriously, but there's always going to be the 1 or 2 that just school isn't for them. They've never really liked it or never reading this and kind of realizing it's really just for probation of players that, weren't making grades, and you gave the entire team a 3-year suspension. That is kind of wild for a lot of the other crazy stuff that's happened in the NCAA that you really didn't put a lot of teeth into. So I guess in that sense, it does kind of look weird.
And what was interesting, even the fines, they got fined 30 grand plus 1.5% of the program's budget, which is like, oh.
And we're talking about Michigan State, so I don't think they're going to be crying very much that their football team's not going to be in any contention for the next 3 years. But I just, again, it's weird to me whenever you hear a story like this where some of their players weren't eligible and they were allowed to play. It's the most basic thing in sports. Like Sparky said, you're taught this when you're a kid. If you don't make the grades, you don't play. And that's how it works until you become a professional. And obviously you don't have to worry about grades anymore. It's pretty simple. Just go in and do the work. And trust me, as somebody who got through college, I could tell you, especially in today's age of college, if you just show up and do the work, they pass you. You don't have to get, an A on Mr. John's or Mr. Brown's final to pass the class anymore. That's not how it works. If you just show up and show that you are willing to put in the effort to pass the class, 9 times out of 10, that professor will pass you with a C, even if you sucked in the class. Because, well, they also get paid based on how many people pass their class. So kind of goes hand in hand. Let's take a break real quick. On the other side, we will talk to our guy Bolt Brady from Bolt Brady and His Bro, give you his picks for the week, hopefully win you guys some money. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, as well as streaming online video-wise, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can find us on the Early Bird Special. It's time to call in our guy, Bolt Brady, from Bolt Brady His Bro at the BLEAV Network, to help you guys win some money on this Week 11 of the NFL and Week 12 of the NCAA. Sir, how are you?
Good morning, fellas. We're going for 5 Thursday night wins in a row.
Absolutely. What is it, 12.5 point spread right now between the Jets and the Patriots? Is that still standing, or has it shifted since then?
Nope, it's 12.5. It's 12.5. And as poorly as the Jets can play, I've got to take the Jets and see what happens there.
I don't blame you. That's way too many points, even for the Jets to let go of. Okay, so when it comes to these massive spreads, especially the double-digit ones, how do you usually approach this? Does it really just matter game by game, what the team is really looking at, or do you really just say that's way too many points, I'm just running with it regardless?
Yeah, I try to say, why is it this many points? And I think, they're going to look at last week's game, and the Jets had 2 returns on special touchdowns, and we all know that field stats aren't that great. But then I'll say, okay, well, what would make you take the Jets? And I say, well, this is a conference game, and also Tom Brady's not playing. 12.5 points is a lot.
That's true, but they do have the MVP leader in Drake May.
That's crazy to think. He's been playing very, very well. But if you dig a little deeper, there's some quality wins in there, like the Bucks and the Bills. But after that, there's not very many good teams.
We were just saying the same thing, how wild it is to think that they already have an MVP candidate after just losing Tom, like what, half a decade ago? I mean,
season ticket holders are lucky for sure.
Well, it was one of those things we were talking about in the offseason. They also have a favorable schedule. I mean, after this, they've got a stack of games that they should be able to lock up this division, especially the way Buffalo is playing right now.
Yes. Well, you guys nailed that on the head. And yeah, no one thought that Buffalo was going to play this poorly.
No, this is fair. No, our Dolphin fan has been harping on this for months. He does not believe in the Buffalo Bills stretching back for the last 2-3 years. Let's talk about some college ball. There's so many great games to talk about. I mean, you got Texas and Georgia this week, USC and Iowa. But the one I have to highlight real quick, just because we talked about it the other day, and I want to get your thoughts. Pitt and Notre Dame. The Pitt coach has come out and said he could lose this game by 100 points, and he really would not care. Does that affect you as a bettor at all? Do you kind of steer away from games like this because of that?
What's he supposed to mean by that statement?
He's saying that he's not focused on this game. He's more focused on Georgia Tech and Miami coming into the next 2 weeks after that, because those are ACC games, and he has a chance to win the ACC title if he beats both of those teams.
Interesting.
So he's not focused on Notre Dame because Notre Dame isn't a ACC game. But my argument is your Pitt, you're 22nd right now in college football playoff ranking. If you beat all 3 of these teams going into the final week of the season, that's pretty much an automatic bid for you.
Well, not only that, beating Notre Dame would be great for recruiting also.
Absolutely. It's college game day is going to be there. It's televised. Like, I don't understand why you come out and say this at all.
He might be just trying to deflect the whole situation to try to ease his players so they're not so tensed up.
Maybe. I mean, it is a 12.5 point spread right now favoring Notre Dame, so maybe they know something we don't. But what are your big picks of the week, my friend?
Well, big picks go with the big dogs. I like Alabama minus the 6.5 against Oklahoma.
Ooh,
and then they're at home. And I also like Georgia minus the 6.5 against Texas. I think Georgia and Alabama are 2 of the best teams. I mean, I'm not going out on a limb here, but
I mean,
I think those are the 2 of the best teams along with Ohio State. And I just don't think Oklahoma or Texas has the firepower to keep up.
I agree with you. Do you think this is one of those games for Arch, though, in Texas where he has to win just to keep his own hype really relevant up there?
Probably, but the thing is that the Texas hasn't played well on the road all year.
Right.
You know, they lost to Florida. They barely beat Kentucky. So I think this is going to be a really hard test for him.
And in the same realm, is this a must-win for Texas in order for them to even be in the playoff running at all?
Quite possibly. I mean, you never know when it comes down to those guys picking the teams, but
True.
Yeah, they don't have much wiggle room here.
Not at all. Not at all. You got any other picks in the world of college ball, or are we moving on to the NFL?
We're moving on to the NFL.
Fantastic. What we got?
I like the Eagles at home against Detroit. Jalen is super hard to beat at home. I mean, actually, he's 11-5 straight up at night at home or on a neutral field. He just doesn't lose at home, period. And then I also like the Chargers minus the 2.5 against the Jaguars. We've been kind of saying this for a few weeks now, but the Jaguars had 13 turnovers. They forced 13 turnovers in the first 3 weeks of the NFL season, and that really catapulted them as a team. Well, ever since then, they clearly can't stay on that pace with turnovers, and they barely beat the Raiders, and they lost to the Texans with David Mills. I really like the Chargers.
I like that game. That was one of the ones that I had trouble picking just because I mean, you've heard me. I'm not a huge believer in Liam Cohen and this Jaguars team in general, but do you think the defense could at least figure out a way to disrupt Justin Herbert in this game?
I don't know. I would think he'd want to get a little revenge after throwing, what was that, 3 or 4 picks on playoff game.
That's very true. I mean, again, we actually had just brought that up because the Asante Samuel signing to the Steelers, and I believe he was the one that picked off Trevor a couple times in that game. So I am not 100% how this goes. What are your thoughts on the Unk Bowl 2.0, though? Do we think that Cincinnati is going to be able to pull off a second win against the Pittsburgh Steelers this week?
The Unk Bowl, that's funny. I hate to say it, but Aaron Rodgers just looked terrible the other night. So I think that'll be a good game. The spread's currently 5.5. That might be a little too high. What I'm looking for is to see, because typically in these situations, Aaron battles back and comes back and plays a really good game. I want to see if he can still do that at 41 years old.
And we had a listener asking about his Denver Broncos at home against the Chiefs.
I wonder if this is the same guy that calls every week about the Broncos, but hey, we appreciate
you never know.
that. So here's the thing. The line's 3.5. The Broncos defense is incredible, but the Broncos offense is terrible. And I just don't see them keeping up with the Chiefs there. I'd lean with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm leaning on with the Chiefs as well. Plus, they have got a lot to play for this week. They go down to 5-5 and go a couple games behind Denver. It could be a rough season. And, of course, I'm going to ask about my Dolphins. I know they're not home in Miami, but they've got the early game against Washington without Jaden.
Right. So I think when I look at the games that are over there across the pond, I always think which team has the chance to get distracted the most. And that's where I start. So my question would be for you, since you know Miami, is do you think they're the type of players that get distracted, or do you think that they're the type of players that are going to go over there on a business trip?
I sure hope they I couldn't tell you. I mean, I've seen it for years. What Miami team shows up, they usually will show up and play a tight game, but they've had problems finishing. And I mean, aside from the game last week, I mean, they played up and down to teams. That's why I wasn't too shocked, because they've played Buffalo tight the last few years. But I don't know. I would probably stay away from that game when it comes to gambling. But the last one I have is I'll actually be out in Vegas for the Monday night game with the Raiders and Cowboys, and I'll be in Vegas. So maybe, we're the home of the Raiders. Thinking what
fun. That's awesome. And so I think the Raiders are going to come out and play well.
That's what I'm hoping. And I'm sure that Dallas is probably favored to win that game. But the Raiders defense, I mean, like we said last week, that defense can be a tough team when they want to. And I think with Dallas's defensive woes, I think Genty should have a good game.
For your time, my friend, we really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, sir. We got to take a break real quick. On the other side, we'll talk a little NBA before we get out of here. There's a couple stories we got to hit before we close out the show. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Final segment the day here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. We're streaming video live every single day from 7 to 9 in the morning on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. Follow us on there, plus Instagram and TikTok as well. We got a couple things to get to in the world of the NBA before we get out of here. And
we got a couple of texts that came in over the break as well.
Fantastic. And no, it's not the Lakers losing 121-90 yesterday to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And again, I still feel like the Lakers are a pretty solid team, but man, that was ugly. I'm sorry. All these guys are still
didn't
banged
even have to
out.
play the fourth quarter.
I wouldn't necessarily get all sad and depressed over that loss, Laker fans, but it definitely wasn't a great look either. Should we hit the text messages first and then we'll hit these stories?
Sure, it's quick ones. Caleb Williams or Jacoby?
Caleb.
I told him the same thing. Corum or Chubb or Pacheco?
All of those are really rough choices right now. Pachenko's losing carries every single week for some reason. I'm not sure why. Nick Chubb, though, did have a solid week last week and started to look a little bit more like his old self. So if you had to pick between those three, I'd probably go with him.
Yeah, I'd probably do the same thing. And one more says, should I go with Debo, Shakir, or Jennings?
I personally trust Debo more than the other two. But again, you're dealing with Marcus Mariota throwing him the football. So that's kind of the trade. Also, though, hasn't really played like he did last season. And I credit that to the fact that all of the distractions that were, Debo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, all obviously not playing at the same time.
And I wouldn't doubt if Shakir is good for a long one.
I wouldn't be surprised either, especially with this new team that he is on. But
if it was my pick, I would go with Shakir just because I think Josh Allen's going to come out pissed.
That's fair. Josh is going to be throwing the ball as much as he possibly can. And the deep threat is always going to be there, especially since the tight end is banged up. Personally, I just say ride with Debo. He's just, if I was picking, that's the most consistent threat every single week to me. Let's switch over to the NBA before we get out of here. Let's start with Draymond Green, who is starting to feel like the Warriors are not committed to winning, as he said in his press conference the other day. Let's hear from Draymond real quick.
I think everybody was committed to winning and doing that possible. And right now, it doesn't feel that way.
Personal agenda type stuff, or like, I guess how was you kind of?
I think everyone has a personal agenda in this league, but you have to make those personal agenda work in the team confines. And if it doesn't work, then you kind of got to get rid of your agenda, or eventually the agenda is the cause. A goal is an agenda, and so you got to have some type of personal agenda.
Draymond is always usually very outspoken when things are rough, especially in the Warriors camp. And I know he's used to winning championships. So I think that's really what he's trying to highlight here is back when they were winning chips, everybody's focus was solely on winning. It seems like this team doesn't have that same mentality, which is honestly probably a fair statement. Not all of them are now. Not to mention, a lot of these guys are on the brink of retirement. So some of these guys are there potentially trying to ride the wave of the Warriors with the greatest shooter of all time, that is Steph Curry. When they traded for Jimmy Butler at the end of last season, they went 28-3. They started the season this year looking pretty dang strong, 5-1. They have since lost 6 in a row on the road. And that is where the frustrations are mounting for Draymond. But is it really a fair statement to say that the Warriors were kind of headed this direction last season before the Jimmy Butler trade? I mean, the Butler trade definitely gave you some momentum and reignited the fire, got you guys working in the playoffs, but they didn't exactly look like the Warriors of old last season and had to play their way into the playoffs. So maybe this is just the natural progression of the Warriors and I won't say collapse of the dynasty, but definitely we're headed towards a retooling in Golden State, if anything.
Yeah, it isn't the Warriors of old. And I mean, they pulled out a good win last night against the Spurs, but Steph had to take control of that game. And there was a funny ass video I shared this morning with him and Wemby doing a jump ball after a tied up game. But I think it's the Warriors. I mean, it's the age, and I think they'll pick it up when they need to. But I don't think it's the urgent Warriors that that were blowing out teams by 20, 30 points every night. I think it's just an age team that is going to have to find that momentum when it matters. And I think Draymond is he's always going to be outspoken and throw the team out when he needs to. And I think that's why they have him.
Right, but when he comes down to the agendas part of this, he's really highlighting the younger players on the team who are crying for more, responsibility. Jonathan Kuminga, who again almost didn't re-sign with the team because of his relationship with Steve Kerr and his thoughts that he was never really going to get the fair shake of being the player he wanted to be. And the other one that's really starting to come out and say some stuff is Podimski. And he's starting to believe like I should be more a part of this team as well. And to be honest with you, maybe they're both correct. Maybe we should start shifting the focus more towards the younger cats, since they're going to be the ones taking over when Draymond and Steph inevitably retire. But to highlight it and really sit there and say that everybody's got their own personal agendas, I don't necessarily feel like Draymond was really trying to throw anybody under the bus with that, but it's definitely
just a captain.
Yeah, it's also definitely not helping though when you go out and highlight that. Yeah, there are guys in our locker room that day. I mean, I feel like that's what all of it today. We'll get to the All-Star game format that was announced tomorrow, but the other story that I had to bounce off you before we get out of here, with the Dallas Mavericks moving on from Nico Harrison, it seems like a move on from Anthony Davis is also on the horizon. But it also has come out that the Mavericks won't play Anthony Davis at all until the owners come out and give the okay, not just the medical tent. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, reading into that story, I guess there was some rumblings of Nico trying to force him to play on a bad injury. And I think it's probably the smartest thing to do. I mean, I don't know if they'll actually trade him or just kind of babysit and make sure they don't force him in too early. I mean, the guy's got a long doctor's list of injuries over the years. And I think with what you traded for to get him, you better be safe with him before you just, especially if you're going to look at a trade.
And what's funny is I think a lot of people and I think this is more towards what Sparky was saying. I think they're just taking the safe route here. I think they know we traded for a valuable asset in Anthony Davis, but he's never really been able to sit down and fully heal from all of these injuries. Everybody kind of forces him back too early and tells him, we need you right now, big guy. The Dallas Mavericks are just saying, hey, big guy, we got you handled. Don't worry about it. This just the development at the same time, and then we'll see what happens
for the season, as well as Jalen Brunson left with a right ankle injury yesterday. And news out of ESPN, he was spotted in a walking boot and crutches after the game.
Right after getting blown out by the Orlando Magic, who look fantastic as well. We'll talk all basketball and so much more tomorrow, but we got to tag out with the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.